Thank you. To assert, as the previous speaker did, that those chief executive officers have appointed those officials simply because of a mandate doesn't reflect in actually their reports. You might want to take a look at their website and be more informed. I wanted to speak to this amendment, against this amendment, based on a 2021 Blue Star Family study that found that active duty family respondents of color make decisions about military life based on perceptions of racism and fear for their family's safety and communities. This study found that nearly half of active duty, 46% of family respondents of color, report that they have considered racial ethnic discrimination in their installation ranking decisions, and 42% consider concerns about safety due to their own or their family members' racial ethnic identity. According to the 2021 demographics report released by the Department of Defense on December 14, 2022, 31.1% of the active duty force identified as a racial minority, while women comprise 17% of the active duty force. Are the Blue Star families who did this study wrong? Are we calling into question the facts of the responses from the survey of this study? Military services are now tapping into regions and demographics that they've not normally focused on. And having the training on diversity, equity, and inclusion is actually a vital tool in bridging the gap between those Americans in military service, which actually improves recruitment. However, my Republican colleagues continue to argue against this so-called wokeism in the military. Maybe it's time that they woke up. I agree with Secretary Austin when he says we are a diverse nation. A military should look like the nation that it defends, and it does, and I truly believe that diversity makes us stronger. Instead of using this hearing to create another wedge issue, I believe continuing to honor our service members includes fighting against racism, religious discrimination, sexism, xenophobia, and homophobia so that service members can focus on the mission and serving our country. Let's get back to work and honor the bravery of those who are honoring our freedoms every single day. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back chair and I recognize the gentleman from Indiana, Mr. Banks, for 5 minutes.
So it's almost laughable at times to hear the back and forth. You hear the other side say CRT doesn't exist, it's an academic theory, it's only in the classroom. And then you hear them, then the next speaker, you'll hear them defend it. CRT is good because racism exists, and you go back and forth. It's only two hours of training per soldier, but then you have another one say it should be a lot more training. We talk about the millions of hours spent in the training and what that could be used for. And really at the end of the day, when you're debating, you're making arguments. You're making a point, and this is the argument that my colleague, Mr. Gates, is making with this. I think he's raising with this amendment by offering it. Is it worth it? Is it worth the taxpayer investment and the time, the millions of hours that are spent on DEI in the military? Is it worth it? I just posed a question in the last debate about the Chief Diversity Officer and challenged my colleagues on the other side to justify it. Give us one single argument why the Chief Diversity Officer is worth funding. And they didn't do it. I didn't hear a single argument. What justifies 1 penny of taxpayer dollars to go to fund the Chief Diversity Officer? So let me pose the same question again. Is it worth it? Is it worth funding the DEI programs in the military? What good has it brought to the military? What good has it brought to our nation's security? Here is a fact. We have seen the public trust in the military sharply decline. I believe a big reason why is because of the left-wing DEI agenda and politicizing our military in a way that we have never seen before. Down 22% last year, the public trust in our military since 2017, a sharp decline in the public trust in our military. That's one reason that we should be defunding DEI programs, which are political programs, politicizing our military. Here's another fact. In the 50th anniversary of an all-volunteer force, we have the biggest recruitment crisis that we've ever had. That is a fact. And I believe that the DEI programs and the politicization of our military is another big reason why. So the real question that this amendment poses, that should pose to all of us, whether you support DEI or you don't support DEI, is whether the taxpayer should be funding it. That's why I support the amendment. Defund it, or give me a good reason why we should be funding it in the first place. I yield back.